when you take a gun-filled Arnold Schwarzenegger meets an alien and you push them and smudge them together with testosterone, you get today's film as we look back at Predator. You son of a bitch. Welcome to another edition of The Look Back. I am the necromancer of film, Joshua Klein. Always joined by my co-host, Mr. Frank A. Frankie, introduce yourself to the folks.
What's going on, y'all? It's Frankie Baniel here in the building, ready to review another movie, putting my reviewer glasses on, taking the fan glasses off, ready for another round of the look back. Let's get to it.
Yes, today, folks, we are looking back at the film Predator, a 1987 film. I mean, it has memes, it has a lot of quotable stuff. Like, we're really going to try to dive in and see if this film looks back, because the aim of this show is to look back at an old movie and see if they still hold up. Because my definition of a great film is something that could be timeless. So, like, no matter what time you watch it, you're able to enjoy it without being, bombarded by old technology, old ways of thinking, something like that. Like, the movie is so entrenched in its own world that you can watch it whenever. So Predator. Have you seen the Predator before? I feel like that was a stupid question to ask, but you gotta ask. Have you seen the Predator before?
Yes, I have many times. It's one of my favorite movies. Go ahead.
Prior to this viewing, when was the last time you watched it?
It's been a couple of years. I think when they came out with the newer Predators movie, like
Predators was 2010, bro.
No. The one, the most recent one.
The Predator. Predator. There's Prey. There's Prey. Prey came out last year.
Yeah, but okay. I haven't seen Prey, but I've seen the one before that, I guess.
The Predator. Okay, yes.
Predator. Yeah. So that being said, I watched all of the previous ones before going to watch that, just because I think it was during COVID. I want to say I watched
Predator, but Predator was pre-COVID.
Okay, whatever it was, I think I actually watched it during COVID because I binged all the movies one day. But yeah, that was the last time I watched it. But so it's been about 3 years. But man, it's always a classic movie. Definitely, it hits different watching like the theatrical version versus like the TV one. That was something I've noticed, because like I've seen the TV one a bunch of times, but it cuts out even like the music score is different, and I'm like, oh, I actually like some of the changes better. But we'll get into it, man. But yeah, it's been a minute since I've seen the full version.
I don't watch TV versions of films. They just ruin it for me. And the pacing is all off and everything. But Predator. The last time I saw Predator is when me and my fiance got together. When we first got together, we made a list of movies that she's never seen before. And Predator was on the list, but we watched Alien, Aliens, and Predator. Because Predator does kind of feel like a in the same realm as Aliens. I mean, like there's like an alien creature fighting against a military, like an Aliens was, and I feel like it's capturing some of that, but bringing it to Earth. But the jungle feels so alien. But we're gonna talk about that. All the shots of the jungle, because I think really adds to the film. But I did write down prior to the film. I did write down what I remembered from the movie. Let's see how close I got.
All right, let's do it.
All right, 1987, Predator. So an alien ship comes down to Earth. Okay. Carl Weathers hires Dutch. I remember Arnold Schwarzenegger's name is Dutch. To go into a Latin country to stop some terrorists / check on a unit. Dutch and crew finds body and a woman. I knew that it was a woman character. Alien kills off crew one by one. Predator has cool weapons. Dutch tells woman to get to the chopper. And then Dutch fights Predator by covering himself with mud, and the Predator blows himself up. Yes, I'm pretty sure that is the film, but there are some key things that is missing from it.
Yeah, no, you were honestly, man. Again, each week you do a little bit better with these, just like off the top of your head. I feel like you throw in some details I actually forget. But that being said, my summary is Predator is a 1987 American science fiction action film directed by John McTiernan and written by the Thomas brothers. It is actually the first installment in the Predator franchise, something that Josh and I will get into during the review. But it stars Arnold Schwarzenegger as Dutch Schaefer, a military mercenary who was fighting in the Vietnam War, and now they're basically transported to another country to. At first, they're told they're hunting down a lost group of other mercenaries. Then it kind of turns into this sci-fi action film and eventually turns into a mano a mano fight between Dutch and the Predator, who we get to see towards the tail end of the movie. All of his crazy technology. He is an alien. Like you said, he is hunting a woman to start out the movie. This movie also stars Carl Weathers, Elipida Carrillo, Bill Duke, Richard Chavez, Jesse Ventura, Sonny Landham, and Shane Black, all as Dutch's military mercenary team, as well as Miss Carrillo, who plays the woman in the movie, whose name I actually did not write
It's
down.
Anna.
Anna. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
Anna. Yeah, well, I mean, she says it once, but every
Yeah.
other character. I think that's a problem with the film is that it's because they hired famous people to be in these roles. Is that sometimes like I can't remember their character's name, but I remember like, oh, it's Bill Dukes, but like that is. But Bill Dukes is playing Mac. Carl Weathers is playing Dylan, but sometimes I would say Carl Weathers because like it's Apollo Creed. I mean, I'm surprised I don't call him Apollo Creed.
Right.
But I remember Dutch, and I would say Arnold Schwarzenegger is probably the weakest of the cast in
Mm.
terms of acting.
Mm.
But back to the film, I liked how the film opened. I love how they established real quickly that there is an alien spaceship. They got to kind of the alien first. It's kind of like, hey, there's an alien, and then there's a mystery around that. I liked how the opening credits kind of like we kind of like build to see this crew.
Yeah, so going into the movie, the opening scene, I actually wrote down that it reminded me of like the classic 80s sci-fi, especially if you think about what was going on during that time period where like you still had like low budget sci-fi movies coming out. I mean, it was
Yeah.
1987, so we're getting into like really the tail end of that era. But like having watched this with my dad and like his friends growing up, they said that was like still like kind of cutting edge at that time. But like the little 3 rocket ship, I'm like, it looks like something that I've seen better stuff on Futurama. I'll say that. But
Oh, because that's an animation. I mean, like
yeah, I know
we can't. I mean, what they were doing is like they're trying to pretend it's this real life.
yeah.
I mean, listen, it was there to like to me. It's like it's just to establish right away that this thing, the Predator, is an alien. Like
Yeah.
there's no mystery about it. We don't have to say like it's a demon, whatever. No, alien.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah. Definitely gets a lot of Star Wars vibes too because it starts out
Oh
with
yeah.
stars. And then I actually really enjoyed the cutting to the military part. It kind of gives you the classic Vietnam War chopper lowering into the jungle, all that.
Yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger with that cigar he has in that scene is CGI.
It's not CGI. It's probably. I mean, CGI is not. CGI doesn't become a thing until like. I mean,
Okay,
technically,
well, what it is, it's an effect because that's not. They told him he couldn't smoke in the actual helicopter.
all right.
But
Wow.
they're like his character's smoking, so I guess what they did, they had to add it with. I think it's After Effects.
Yeah, they
But
probably.
whatever
Yeah.
it is, like if you look at it the right way, the smoke is kind of moving at this like weird ass thing.
Yeah. It looked. It looks. But what an introduction to the our meat bags, our
Yeah.
testosterone filled guys. Because like while they're in the helicopter, we're getting kind of their personalities. You have the guy in the glasses played by Shane Black, who wrote Iron Man 3, who made the Predator later on. He's the guy in the glasses trying to tell his pussy jokes, which we'll get to that. You have the Native American Billy. You have Jesse Ventura playing as Blaine, and he's just saying one-liners all over the place. Now, right away, the film dates itself by the use of the F-bomb. Right away, that's kind of jarring to hear now, which back then you would not. I love how we even get like the slow reveal of Arnold. Like all the guys come out of the chopper, and you just see Arnold in the background in the shadow, and you always see him just light that cigar. I think that's a good way if you want to paint Arnold Schwarzenegger as, he is the main character, he is the badass, I think that's a good way to set it up.
I think that when you have those classic 80s movies, right? Like there's always that like they set the world up with, I mean, in Rambo they set it over like all those stills of like what's going on in the war, but in this movie it's
Yeah.
like boom, jump cut, war, and then Arnold Schwarzenegger, like he's the only one, number one, not wearing camo that whole scene, which I actually really appreciated because all the other guys are in their military stuff, they're ready to go. He's actually wearing red. And I
Oh,
think that's
actually,
like,
no. Jesse Ventura's Mac is wearing they're not wearing. They're wearing all different. They're wearing civilian clothes.
okay, because the
They're all
only
wearing civilian clothes when they show up because it feels like they all just got picked up
I
to
got
be
you.
in
Okay.
this. Yes, they're all. His one just stands out more because it's red, and Arnold is fucking massive. He is a massive man compared. I mean, Jason Ventura is no joke too. He's a big dude too, but Arnold just like his arms are big at the time. I mean, we're gonna see how big those arms, those big fucking pythons are, in the next scene when we were introduced to Dylan, Carl Weathers' character. But although they're all wearing their civilian clothes, it looks like they all got picked up for something. Which there's a mystery that the film plays around with why they actually was hired, and I think it never gets fully explained. But there's hints about what they're actually doing. They're being told what they're doing and what they're actually doing.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. That's actually going to lead me to my next point. So we get to see Carl Weathers. Obviously, we see the classic meme that everybody has seen with the two arms that are super jacked that I think everybody, especially young men, have tried to recreate with their friends, where you definitely have held it, did like 30 push-ups and tried to take that picture. Sorry.
I love how it's like, Dylan, you son of a bitch, and you just see this fucking and they clap. You just see the fucking pythons, and they're just holding it, and you're just like, wow, this scene is like going so long, but we're seeing how strong it's setting up, how like massive and big and strong Arnold is, even compared to Apollo Creed, because he's done being Apollo Creed at this time. Like,
yeah.
I mean, Carl Weathers is known for, I think Action Jackson was around this time too. Like, he was an action star, and here's Arnold Schwarzenegger just fucking outpowering, outmaneuvering him.
Yeah. So we meet Carl Weathers, and it's interesting because Carl Weathers is the one that recruits Arnold Schwarzenegger's character, right? So
yes,
when Carl Weathers comes out, at first you think, all right, cool, they're old friends. Like, it's clearly like going to be this kind of buddy. I don't want to say buddy action movie because that sounds bad, but what I was thinking of more like the, one last ride, like two dudes going out in a blaze of glory type. And then every time it sets up something, like I kept thinking, okay, it's gonna go one way because I keep thinking, it's this '80s movie, this '80s classic, right? But then it kind of takes these turns to where it's like, okay, this is why this movie is unique. And for me, that first turn was like they go through, they have that first like kind of, there's no real shootout, right? They just find all those skinned bodies, right? And then on top of that, there's the whole flight on the way out there where you kind of get more of their personality, like you said, when they first had landed. You got them playing the wild music. You got the dude with
they're playing. I think it's was it Little Ricky?
Yeah,
Little Richard. Yeah. Woo! Which I love when Bill Dukes refers back to it later on. It's very haunting when he does it towards his end.
Oh man, yeah. So you got that whole scene, the scene with the dip spit, which
the disrespect.
That's something I find disgusting. Like,
well, and I almost so I think it could be multi-layered about why he did that. Okay, so you find out Dylan, Carl Weathers, was part of this group, but used to work with Arnold Schwarzenegger back in probably Vietnam during the day.
Gotcha.
But Carl Weathers' character now works for the CIA. Now he is part of the bureaucracy of the military or the bureaucracy of the government now than he is as a soldier boy, because he's like Carl Weathers Dylan is trying to convince Dutch and his crew to be assassins, but they are strictly rescue team. They only go in there and rescue people and get out. They're not there to murder people. And that's kind of what Dylan wants them to do before. That's why you're like, why don't you work for me again? Why don't you take any more jobs? Because they're not mercenaries. Yeah. Which is why, so when they get, so the mission, so let's talk about what is the mission. Okay. So Dylan is hiring the rescue crew to go down and save this Johnny Hopper character that went down there in the Mexican, no, it was like a cabinet member was on a helicopter, got shut down in enemy territory. He needs to go in and get him out. Okay. But as they go in that first mission, you already see Billy's the tracker. You have Poncho, who's another guy. You have Blaine, which is Jesse Ventura. You have Billy Dukes Mac. They're all like doing their own thing, and they find the helicopter with 2 dead people, and they're like, something's not up. Something's up. And with Billy tracking, like, all right, I see 6 soldiers here. Like, they were soldiers here. Like, wow, like this ain't no cabin men. There's soldiers here. So already, like, Dutch is like, something's up here. And as they kept continuing the mission, Dylan gets kind of squirrely. He gets a little squirrely, like, where he's like even trying to, like, when shit goes to shit, when they find those skin bodies, you can see Dylan trying to even like run away. And Mac Bill Duke was just like, you give up position again, I'll kill you myself. I was like, all right, man. There's there's always fishy going on with Carl Weathers' character. Like, he is in on something. He's already lying to Dutch's team, and he's hiding something. And I believe, so when we see that shootout where we see how effective the team is, okay? If you want to talk a little bit about that, like, we had to have a scene where you have to see how capable these guys are, because the Predator needs to hunt these people, right? That's the job of the Predator. He comes down to Earth to hunt. So he needs to be big game. So, like, if we already have all these massive human beings who have this personality, we need to see them in action. So when the Predator faces them one-on-one, it makes the Predator look impressive. You got to, it's a classic wrestling thing to do. Is like, if you have this new character, you have to go through some people before they face this Hulk Hogan kind of character, But if you want to talk more about that, because I thought the action scene a little bit when they finally got into action against the terrorist, I thought that was a very well done action scene.
Yeah, they did a lot of misdirection too. Like, they showed a lot of the military stuff, which, if you listen to some of the military jargon, it is complete like mumbo jumbo. He goes, "Yo, do a sweeping pattern." I'm like, what? Like, that might actually be a thing. That one might actually be a thing. But like, some of the other stuff he says, like, "Yo, you need to go up that alley, go around the valley." Like, I'm like, okay, first of all,
go through the woods.
Valley, Arnold. You're in the middle of a jungle, so some of the stuff he was saying doesn't make sense. I digress. So when we do get to the action, one of the things that they really focused on was like how each team kind of operated as like their own. Like, you had the 2 guys that took out the sniper, you had the 2 guys that were throwing stuff, but then you had Arnold Schwarzenegger's character who really took like his time and assessed the full situation. Like, I thought it was genius when he let that truck go right through the middle of the base, just as like a distraction. Because I was like, okay, yeah, that's some 80s like corny action stuff.
Well, especially since we saw Arnold's big muscle dude lift the back of that truck up.
Yeah, that was a part I was like, all right.
Okay. Like, all right. Another game to prove how strong Arnold is. Like, look how big and strong he is.
Right. Like, this is a level of smart you're going to get in this movie. So I'm like, all right, that was pretty cool. And then you get all the 80s stuff. Like, I gotta stop saying the 80s, so I'm going to cut this part. I really need to stop saying that.
I mean, it's so 80s. I mean, like, the point, because Arnold Schwarzenegger even can't help it with the one-liners. Throws a knife at someone and goes, "Stick around." Or when he busts in the door and goes, "Knock, knock," and blows people up. Well, I find it funny is that before they even attack the hostage, where the terrorists are at, which you find out because I watched it in with captions on, you have Russians speaking, like, "Oh, why are Russians there?" So like, this is supposed to be a Latin country with like small guerrilla terrorists. Like, what? Yeah. Why are the Russians there? But they see a hostage gets killed. They're like, all right, one hostage is dead. That means let's like fucking blow it up. Like, grenade launchers against thunder. There's like tons of explosions. Everything around is exploding. Boom, boom, boom. So when they fight Anna, they're like, well, check if there's hostages. I'm like, shouldn't have you guys done that first before you're like, no, let's just blow everything up. Let's just put everything on fire.
Yeah. They just go in there guns blazing. It's like, we lost one hostage. It's like, well, how many? You don't even know how many hostages they have. Like, I don't know, but I think because they saw the 3 dead guys in the woods, that kind of changed how they thought, because they're like, they only got like one of them left and they're killing them all. It's like, all right, well, then they see one get killed, so I guess that kind of made sense, but not really. Um, they have one person. I wrote down, the one person who sneaks up on him during the entire fight is the woman. Like, out of everybody, she sneaks up on him and tries to like knock him out. I'm like, what? I'm like,
And he just punches her. He's like, "What the fuck?"
He's like, "Bow!" I was like, she's dead. I was
Oh,
like, there's no way you just got punched in the face by Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like I am a grown man. I would comfortably say I would at least be knocked out for several hours. Give it days. Like that is a punch, and she was just, oh, she's fine. Let's drag her out of here. It's like, no, she's dead, like unconscious at least. So that happened, and then the I ain't got no time to bleed. That was
oh, dude. Jesse Ventura has some great lines in the movie. He tries, like, my favorite one is in the beginning. It's actually, which sucks, is like it's right after the F-bomb. Right, because he's asking people for some chewing tobacco. They're saying no, and that's why it's like, stop being a bunch of F-bombs. This stuff right here will make you a sexual Tyrannosaurus Rex. I was like, that is like, why would you say that? That's awesome. And then I ain't got like, sir, you're bleeding. I ain't got time to bleed.
I was like,
it's badass.
But you're bleeding though. Like,
well, before that, Billy says, I wouldn't do it with a dick broken dog. I'm like, okay. Like, there's the lines in this movie are insane. The one-liner quality.
Oh, definitely. They got some, but okay, we'll get into the one-liners in a little bit, but I wanted to touch on one more thing with that shootout. I did really appreciate the explosions, and then the not even special effects, but
the practical effects.
The practical effects, thank you, of the people on fire, because
I've
been watching House of the Dragon recently, and one of the things that they actually have carried over into the modern day, they've brought suits like that kind of back, because there's a point in time where they were just doing it with like, saying a dude in a green suit, and they had
CGI, yes.
Yeah, but now they're getting better with the CGI, where it's like, we can actually light somebody on fire and just touch it up a little bit. It looks way cooler. I'm like, oh, okay, but this one, I'm like, there's a couple people like, they're actually on fire for real.
Yes.
Some of those explosions, I'm like, you actually got hit by some of that stuff. That actually looks like it really hurt.
So it's interesting when you go back to watch these old films, and because they had to do practical effects because CGI was not a thing quite yet. Like, I mean, they were still they were testing with the computers, but it wasn't perfect. It was kind of off. So yes, when you get a scene like that, this is all practical, and that they're setting explosions, which is pretty fun. I think that scene is pretty fun and a good way to, once again, like, you need the scene to see how deadly this team is and why Dylan Callweather's wanted them as assassins, because they would be great as assassins. Now, granted, they will make a big fucking noise while they do it and burn down the fucking whole forest, but we'll get to that part. But I thought it was a good idea because like, we get introduced to Predator vision, and I think that this is a great idea. It's something this point of view is not new. I mean, the opening of Halloween also opens up with the killer's point of view, but having the Predator's point of view and seeing how he sees and the sounds he makes really puts you in the head. I think adds to it, almost like a Jaws effect too. It's like we wait a while to see the Predator. We don't even see the full Predator until he fights Dutch. We see glimpses, we see hints here and there throughout the movie, but we don't see the Predator in his glory until the end. I think that is a great idea. But this is when we start seeing the hunt, where the Predator is starting to hunt. And I think this is when the movie really takes over. Like, when I think of Predator, I think after the gunfight scene to where the Predator's hunting them one by one, that is Predator to me. Just because the jungle adds almost like an alien effect, because the Predator is invisible. I think that was a great idea too. And like the cloning, when you see him invisible, it looks kind of looks not that good. But the idea that the Predator is like moving and invisible, and that Billy is tracking it, but it's like, it doesn't make sense. He knows something is up. We're all gonna die here, he says. It's like, oh, that's so grim.
Yeah, I thought the Predator effect is funny. It looks like a Snapchat filter now.
Oh yeah, yeah,
you know
pretty much.
Because you could just imagine, like, you hold your phone up, you could just move around. It's like, yo, I'm the Predator, but really it's just like all distorted. But at the time, that was like cutting edge technology, and for what it's trying to do, I understood it. Like, yeah, it's not the greatest effect, for how they tried to do it, but every time we would show the Predator, and then the flashing eyes was kind of helpful towards the end because
Yes.
I was like, okay, now I'm kind of losing him because he is. I mean, this is his habitat, and he was using the trees, which is makes sense. That's what a predator would do. You want to get a vantage point, like it all made sense. Arnold's whole like action of like processing in this movie, I actually really like that because yeah, he doesn't speak a lot of English, but he was doing a decent amount of acting with his face, despite like always looking like this in every scene, like oh my god,
Yes, his line deliveries are not the best.
oh god,
Because of his accent. I think his
yeah.
there's a what's the situation like during the fight scene there's a line that he just could not. It just is like not. He just read it. I'm like, there's no emotion to that, whatever. But I feel like his strongest point was his physicality. I think what makes Arnold Schwarzenegger somebody to watch is not because of his acting, not because of his one-liners, is his physicality. That's something that James Cameron unlocked during Terminator, is that physicality, that menacing thing about him, which would be great to hunt. But seeing him as a good guy and seeing him, which is like, because he's Austrian, and he's working for the American government. Whatever. I'm just gonna let it go. You need to have a reason to have Arnold Schwarzenegger in the film.
Yeah, they let him do a lot of like stuff too, where some of his lines were usually shorter. Like they didn't give him any crazy words to say. Like he didn't say any real tactical stuff, and what he did say was like short, quick, to the point, which is, I mean, fitting for the character. Right.
Yes.
But he also did a lot of acting, like I said, like visual stuff where he's actually observing. Because in the military, like I feel like nowadays movies they over explain, and I don't know why I feel like that. Some military movies not so much, but some of these like action movies, it's too much talking during like a scene where it's like, yo, if you're trying to be serious, be serious. Like that's why I like John Wick, because John Wick would do an entire scene, have killed like 5 people and not said a word.
Well, John Wick just says this.
You know what I'm saying? Like
he just says, "Yeah," or "I need a gun." I can't wait to get to John Wick. That's just that's a fun thing.
Yeah, so and this is like one of those movies where there isn't that unnecessary comedy or whatever. Like there is comedy.
Well, there is unnecessary comedy, dude.
There's comedy here, but like not. It's like I'm gonna say it's a little toned down. I don't know if you can hear that sound though. Sorry.
Okay, so I would have to disagree about the toned downness, because the blatantness and overuse of the gunplay and the explosions during that fight scene, and then when Jesse Ventura gets killed by the Predator and Bill Duke sees it, Max sees it, and he gets his railgun, minigun, and just starts firing at at nothing. And then Dutch comes, everybody else just starts like, he's firing, let's all just fire our guns. What are we firing at? I don't know. We're just gonna fire at the freaking forest and just chop down every tree. I'm laughing hysterically because I'm like, no one's asking questions. People are just like, the guy with the grenade launcher, boom, 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 boom. What are they firing at? I don't know. But I feel like the script said, like, all right, they need to get rid of all their guns. This is the moment where they lost all their guns.
Yeah, that definitely. It would have been actually funny if, like, if they were like, he's shooting, we just got to do it. He knows what's out there. And they didn't even have one of those. It was just them, we're going to shoot, and there's going to be the scene. And it got to the point, because I watched this the second time around with my girlfriend, and she was like, they've really been shooting for, like, almost uninterrupted a minute. I was like, yep.
Yep.
Like, it's to the point where Arnold Schwarzenegger, like, because it's all, like, again, After Effects, they're probably shooting a gun, like, but there's like a point where you can see his prop and the explosion are completely off. And it's like Tropic Thunder bad. He's just like, I
mean, like, I think there's some shots. I think Tropic Thunder did take some stuff from Predator.
Oh, for sure.
So when they're going to their spot, the helicopters, because like they're going into enemy territory that they're not going to get helped by the government. So once they cross the line, they're on their own. So they kind of like also like tips Dutch off, like something's not right here, or like especially the Russians. So like listen. The Americans knew about the alien, okay? They knew that an alien spaceship crashed down there. That's why the Russians were also fucking there. This is my theory, okay? Because Hopper because there's a crew that went first. They went first to look around, and they got killed by the predator because they were sticking their nose where they wouldn't belong. They died. So like Dylan's like, fuck. All right, well, I needed to see if there's any survivors, so we need to rescue them and see what they saw, kind of thing. That's why like when. So once Mac's friend Blaine dies, he gets his head like just exploded by this alien guy, which is pretty sweet. I thought Bill Duke's scene with Blaine's dead body, which was very emotional, where they were sharing it like prior to the film, they were sharing like a thing of whiskey, and they called it a taste of home. So there's a camaraderie between these two people. I think that was well established because when his friend died, he was just like, he wasn't just my, so well, he wasn't such a soldier. He was my friend. Like you felt it, and I loved, I love how there's this tender moment when he's giving his flask back to his friend, and Mac goes, "Good night, bro." I couldn't help but laugh because, like, "Good night, bro." I'm like, that's what I would say, brother.
Yeah, nah, they had a lot of scenes together that kind of cracked me up. Like, I know it sounds bad, but his death scene, I laughed out loud when he just turned and was just like, wham, rocket through the chest, and it was like, I was like, no, and I was like, yeah, that's
no, like there was like, oh yeah, there's some.
I know this sounds bad, but one of my favorite things in movies, and this sounds horrible, but like when somebody dies and the person goes, no, like that makes me laugh every time because I can't take him seriously.
But I love how there's a transformation in Mac's character after the death of Blaine that he becomes fucking unhinged.
Yeah, no, he goes off. He pops off, and so does what's the scout?
Billy,
dude.
Oh, okay. That is the most disappointing thing about the movie for me is that we don't see Blaine. We won't see Billy versus the Predator because the Predator didn't just kill him. The Predator took his head and skull out of his body. So like the Predator saw something like worthy of keeping his skull around because even he plays with his skull a little bit. It's like he had respect for Billy. But I like how once prior to that, okay, so once they figured out we're being hunted, they had the Anna as a hostage because Carl Weathers' character Dylan wanted to keep her around for whatever reason. Dutch was like, listen, like we don't need her. We're trying to get the fuck out of here. So like that's not our hostage. That's your hostage. You're just kind of following along. But then once they realized they're being hunted, they freed her because they're like, all right, we're all in this together now because this thing is coming for us. And I love how you get an 80s montage. Gotta have a montage of them building traps to fortify their area to make sure they're safe.
Take their shirts off. He was like, dude, I need you to help me do this. And Carl Weathers is like, fine. And then the next scene is him like,
montage. And Anna's in there, dude, like tying up shit, like she's getting down and dirty, she's flexing her muscles. I mean, like it's
everybody's involved,
and
no discrimination here.
Wow. And then that plan goes to they plan work. They capture the Predator, but then the Predator was just like goes ham, firing his fucking weapon over the place, caused one of the traps to hit Poncho, and then Bill Duke's Mac goes, I see you. They understand he's invisible now. They figured out that he was invisible based because Anna saw the death of actually I should go back. The glasses guy by Shane Black, I forget his name. He does die first, where Anna does see because Anna escapes captivity. Like she kept escaping. I should have realized Dylan was a bad soldier when Anna just kept escaping. Like that kept happening. Like the fuck. So that caused one of the it was almost like it was a setup because once she ran away, the Predator was like, oh cool, and used Anna's as bait to get these guys spread apart. Because once they started spreading apart looking for her, that's when he attacked the guy in the glasses, who gave a bad pussy joke, like I said before. Not a good one. But I love Max. Mac gets it dirty. I think out of everybody's death, Mac gets it fucking like the Predator took it personally dirty.
What? So Mac just gets shot through the head?
Yes, but the Predator like does it point blank range.
Okay, because I picked up on the first time you saw the 3 dots is when he kills Mac. So did he not use his shoulder thing until that?
No, he used it against Blaine. The way
Okay,
his chest
because I was like
bursted. But we don't
somebody's
see
chest blew up,
it
right?
came from behind.
Oh,
So we
okay.
didn't see the 3 dots. So
I got you.
when Dylan was like, I'm gonna get revenge for his people, I was like, what are you doing, Dylan? Like,
Yeah, no.
what are you doing here?
You're
Because
a good
Mac's like,
man.
I like how like when they're waiting for the trap, right? And like you see Mac shaving. Just he's so unhinged. Like, I'm gonna shave. What's up? What's going on? And then he's like,
razor on his face.
right. So when he finds out, I was like, I see him. Like you can see, like Bill Dukes can see. Oh, all right.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's trying to get closer. So Carl Weathers and Bill Dukes are just kind of spread apart. They're fucking army crawling. You know, Max thinking like, I'm gonna get this motherfucker for Blaine. Blaine, I'm gonna avenge you. And you see that those 3 dots. He's like, huh? And then you just see it goes to his head, and all of a sudden, blah! The Predator just like, yeah, get revenge on that motherfucker. But Dylan gets it bad too because he gets shot in the arm. He gets his arm completely blown the fuck off and then stabbed.
I loved how when his arm falls off, it shows his arm still shooting the gun.
I know.
And then
It's almost like a Star Wars reference, honestly, because it reminds you of
Vader.
No. The first Star Wars.
Oh.
When Obi-Wan is in the cantina and he chops off the what's his guy? One of the guy's arms. I think it's Pig Nose Guy.
You'll be dead.
You'll be dead. Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Because the shot reminds you. Because if you look at that shot, it's like of the arm. It's dangling and the gun. So it's like that's what it reminded me of in Star Wars. Of course.
Yeah, I just love that Carl Weathers then turned around with the other gun, like Blaze of Glory, and I was hoping it would have showed him again, like shooting, and then he gets his other arm cut off.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you didn't learn I didn't learn the first time.
Oh.
But then he just gets like picked up and stabbed, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And then Ponchos, who's injured, is kind of like he's kind of like getting away, and he gets shot in the fucking head.
Dude, yeah, he got done. He didn't even get done dirty. Who's the one that got hit by the? Is he the one that got hit by the log first?
Yes. So
Yeah,
when they catch the Predator, and the Predator's like fucking just whipping all this shit, it actually it activates a trap that hits him, and that's when they're like, oh shit, shit.
Like,
that's when things start, and then Billy sacrificed himself to stop the Predator, but it was like real quick. It was just like they got away and just hear ah.
Yeah, he's dead. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Right.
All right. Cool. Well, we're almost to the final climax of the movie. So basically, what I took from everything leading up to this point is that Dutch was the only logical person, which is what kept him alive. I felt, and then a little bit of dumb luck because really he should have died because he got shot, I think, twice.
He got shot once.
I know he gets hit like not at point blank range, but hit pretty hard once, and then he gets grazed a couple of times until it gets to that final scene, and then he gets the girl out of there, and that was crazy.
He tells her get to the chopper because Dutch figures out the reason why the Predator is not going after Anna is because she's defenseless. Like it won't go after defensive step. There's no sport in killing someone that's not going to fight back.
Right.
So as they're like one time going into the gunfire, she's gonna pick up a gun, and then Dutch does this weird, like he kicks the gun out of his hand and goes ah, like in this like pose thing, just bah 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 bah. But yeah, I mean he does get lucky because he falls on the waterfall and then gets covered in mud, and then it's because the Predator can see through your body heat. So when like Arnold gets cased in mud, he puts the mud all over him, and he notices that the Predator can't see him. He's like, oh shit. So he tells Anna to go to the chopper, and he's going to stay because he knows if he goes to the chopper, the Predator will also go to the chopper, and then their rescue mission is for nothing. So that's why I believe he stays back, and it goes mano a mano with the Predator, where he also sets traps for him and everything else.
Yep. Definitely. The trap setting was pretty cool. Another montage. This one's a little shorter, but also a little bit more meaningful because it shows him setting up a whole. Oh my god! Sorry, I just killed a fucking spider. Edit that out, Dylan. Anyway, sorry. So we get through that final montage, which was a little bit shorter, but also a little bit more meaningful because it shows him setting up a whole bunch of stuff. He gets the bow and arrow. He takes I believe that was what, gunpowder out of those
Yes.
canisters, right? Yeah,
Yes.
gunpowder out of the canisters. Gets a spear with his knife on it, which I actually thought was pretty sweet, even though it definitely does nothing. It was a pretty cool look. But he sets up those traps in a really interesting way. And then the final setup of the Predator losing its armor and its camouflage, I thought that was done pretty well because at first it looked like it was going to get away, and it was so used to its technology being so like hyped up that when it looked down at its watch and it like shorted out, I was like, oh, that's its first like oh shit moment. Like, oh, okay, it's like, oh, they're real. Okay, cool. I'm a mono you too. He takes all his stuff off, and which I thought that was so cool with the
Yes.
like how slow it was, and then
Well, yes.
especially the first time I saw it as a kid because I didn't know Predator had like the face like that. I thought it was gonna be like, you know, classic sci-fi, like the person with like weird ears, but I'm like, nah, he's got like, I don't even know what to call them, like tendrils or like
Yes.
fangs for a face. Like
He has a vagina face.
I wasn't gonna go there, but
that is how it's read. He has a vagina. It's vagina ventata, which is like a term where like the fear of the vagina. Which I mean, this film being so super masculine of an alien that has a feminine body part on its face shows like the threat of femininity. Whatever. I mean, that's overreading this dumb action film. Like,
no,
I don't think that's there.
Subconsciously, that's something I'm sure people probably
But
thought.
the fear of the vagina is real, and I think that thing is fucking scary as shit. And we getting like, I love how we get to see how he sees, and it's all fucking red. I thought that was interesting that the camera like it went there. And I loved, and yeah, you're talking about luck. The Predator has him dead to rights, and he's just like had his like weapon gun like running around his neck, and he decides like, no, I want to beat the shit out of him with my fucking bare hands, which is like awesome. Which cost the Predator because Arnold was able to, you know, a little outsmart him, and to the point where the Predator is wounded very badly, and like Arnold doesn't kill him. He had his chance to fucking kill him, like, oh, he's dead. But that was just like, no, because what the Predator is gonna do is just like, I'm gonna nuke myself. I need to, like, I lost, so it's time to nuke this bitch. Now, I do not like the fact that Dutch lives. But I understand that he went through so much. Why would he die in the end? So he needed that.
I was hoping in a way it would have been like one of those like. It's hard because I think of the most dangerous game, the book, how the guy gets away in the end, but like before he gets away, he kills the guy and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Where I was like, it's kind of a poetic ending because neither of them really get away because the guy ends up dying later. But I knew he was going to live because you can't have an 80s action movie without the dude like barely alive, like bleeding out. Like,
you could do it now.
I don't know.
You could do it now, and you could have done it in the 70s. The 70s were way more bleaker.
The 80s, it was like, hey man, we got to give these kids something to live in because we've lost a lot of celebrities. But man, yeah, that scene. But I did appreciate how it wasn't like him looking at the sunset. It was just him like kind of looking like.
Fucking tired, dude.
Like you just got.
And it looks like
no way he lived.
Okay, so it looks like the final scene. Like we even see him cry. It doesn't look like it, but I felt like there was a tear running down his eye because Arnold was crying, and I think it cuts to Arnold, and his eyes are just big, and he just cry. Okay, I hate the fact that the ending of the film is a sitcom like opener where they're like showing who's in the movie, and they're doing the. Except for Arnold. Arnold just doing what he did in the movie, but he's like, I'm not participating. But people are looking at the camera going, hey, I'm like, why'd you do this? Like, I felt like the ending was done.
I paused it before that because I knew it was going to be.
Oh, yeah. It's bad. It's a bad.
And it's funny that you mentioned that because I was literally saying, out of all the stuff that was going on in this movie, that was the one thing I did not expect, was for like the sitcom, like, hey, here's the Predator team. It's like, uh,
Who look? Remember these people? Look
like
who they
Carl
are.
Weathers. It's like Carl Weathers, like mustache. Fucking shit. Like,
I was the
mustache.
bad guy.
What the hell?
I was the real bad guy of this whole film. Here we do not ask the, we don't give a rating systems of to watch it or something like that. No, we're really trying to see if this film holds up. So I'm going to ask Frankie here if this film holds up. We're going to answer yes or no, and then give an example why. So Frankie, does Predator 1987 hold up to today?
I'm gonna have to say no. Okay. And here are my reasons. Number one, the after effects are what they are. They're 80s stuff. But more importantly, it's just like one of those movies that would only work during that time period. If they came out with this movie now, I mean, concept wise, it could do well, right? Given modernizing and all that stuff. Concept wise, it could do well. But otherwise, this is one of those movies that it only really works in the 80s because of all the gratuitous action, the stuff we've been talking about. There's never a scene where somebody's not like with a shirt off for some reason. You know what I mean? And that's like stuff that, yeah, we see it in movies, but it's usually done a little bit better. And I just don't see it holding up. It is, like we always say, it's a good movie. Watch it, but it's an 80s movie for a reason. It's a cult classic for a reason.
It's not cult classic. Cult classic. It was a successful
Yeah, it was
fucking
just
movie.
okay, but it's got a good following is what I'm saying.
Yes.
And for a reason, right? Because it was from that time period. Take it into any other time period, even drop it in the late 90s, probably not going to hold up.
Well,
Definitely not holding up nowadays. Well, I can't say definitely because you got some.
well, they haven't really made a good sequel until Prey, I would say.
Which I haven't seen. So now, that being said, now that you say that, that's what I'm going to go watch. Maybe that is the more modern day take, but I can't say that this would hold up. Yeah, that's pretty much it, man. I mean, I know we kind of have talked through all my points several times, so I'll let you go ahead and say your piece.
So this was a hard one for me because I have to take my personal bias out of it. Okay, because I've seen it. Like, it's been a while since I've seen this movie, but I have fond, loving memories for this film. So I have been debating in my head about how I would do this, but I'm actually going to say it does. I think it does hold up. I think it's the film that if you want to watch a Predator film, this is the film to watch because of the setting of the jungle. I think the jungle really adds a lot to the film, to the anxiety, to the build of the Predator, the design and the fun of the Predator hunting these macho men who have a personality. They are fun. The movie goes by very quickly. The dialogue is a little dated a little bit. There really wasn't no technology problems. I mean, yeah, the invisible scene, the visible Predator doesn't work as well as it could now, but I've seen CGI visible stuff not working as well. But the action's pretty good. I think it's a fun movie. I think it does hold up right now, but if you ask me 5 years from now, I probably would say no, because Arnold Schwarzenegger is still a name. Even though he hasn't been a movie around, like, that is an icon there. And I think that, like, this is probably the movie to see. Like, I don't see, like, I don't think no matter what timeline you see this movie, you will have a good time. And that the ride. If you go in there looking for a good time, I think the Predator will succeed in that. So I'm going to say yes, because the good things about it make it worth watching and worth to preserve. So this is when the reviewers are split with yes or no, we're going to put a tombstone on it. Like, it's buried, but we're going to put a nice little tombstone to remember it by. So here lies Predator. It doesn't have time to die. It's going to be on its headstone. So yes. So Frankie, how can they, if they like this show, this is their first show, how can they get more of this show?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, like and subscribe. That's the number one way for us to kind of grow the channel and help to reach more people like you. Number two, leave a comment and tell us what you thought
Yeah.
about the movie. That's probably the best way for us to honestly grow, especially as we do these reviews. We're going to be able to do more shows and stuff where we incorporate more feedback and things like that. It's just going to make the viewing experience a lot better for us. We appreciate all the feedback, love, and support. I am Frankie Manuel. You will be able to see my socials on the screen. Josh, I'll kick it back over to you. Take us home.
So, people, I know we've had a good time here, and here in the look back, we love watching old movies. And as you know, like I said before, the strike is going on right now. Movies are kind of getting moved around here. It's always a good time to go back and relive some of your childhood films and see if they held up. And that's what we're trying to do here. So thank you for joining us, and I will see you at the movies.